Good morning. Welcome to the Morristown Unitarian Universalist Fellowship on this warm July morning where it's good to be inside, is it not? I have opening words for us this morning. These come from the Reverend Joan Javier Duval. This is entitled, Lay It Down. Here is where you can lay it down. Lay down all that you have carried, the weight of the world that has rounded your back, leaving you aching and exhausted. Here is where healing begins, where burdens are set down, and alongside one another's, their magnitude does not seem as great. Here is where the door is thrown wide open and the light can lift away the shadows and what was hidden can now be seen. Here is where you can rest, where nothing is expected but that you bring all of who you are into the presence of the holy and of this loving community. Friends, let us worship together.
Welcome, new friends and old. Welcome to our shared journey of the Spirit. We are grateful you're with us this morning. I'm Steve Runyon, this morning's worship associate. I'm so pleased to welcome you to this morning's worship service. We're a spiritual community that appreciates the importance of the practice of appreciation and acceptance. We look for ways to empower each other in our spiritual growth, supporting each other through our journeys of birth, childhood, youth, and adulthood. Being in Sunday worship together is one way that we learn who we are together and as individuals. Worship is for us a time when we share in the spiritual practice of listening. In this time of worship, as we all are always learning to listen, we understand if you must leave for a conversation or to help someone with a need. If you are a person who gets overwhelmed by sound and stimuli, our parlor is a very quiet room where you can listen and watch the service. If you need to talk, you can watch and listen from the library. If children, youth, and their families have questions about our religious education programming, our Director of Religious Education is Nick Walwork, who is not in the room right now, but he would be more than happy to talk to you if you reach out via Katie Julick. She does everything. She keeps us all on the rails, and she'd be happy to put you in touch with Nick. And especially those of you online, if you're thinking about coming to attend here in person, we welcome you to bring your kids. You can find out more about our choir from our music director, Michael Rosen. Our AV technical director is Alex West, and our congregational administrator is the already mentioned Katie Julick, and she's here most weekdays and is happy to get your emails. And for this month, our summer minister is Charles Loflin, who we are very happy to welcome back. For anybody who doesn't know, he was our ministerial intern some years ago. That's probably longer ago than I realize.
Right? 2020, 2021.
Wow, okay. Pre-COVID, mostly. All right. Right in the middle of COVID, okay. Like I said, longer ago than I realized. Okay, a few announcements. We don't have a ton in the bulletin today, so I'm just going to run through all of them real quickly. Today, following the service, the Green Earth Ministry will be showing videos on how to make your climate conversations more effective. That's going to be in the parlor. On July 15th, the book club will meet to discuss Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt at 1:30 in the dining room, and all are welcome. On the 21st, the fellowship will have a table at Diversity Day on the Morristown Green. For more information or to volunteer, reach out to welcome@muuf.org. And the Green Earth, you may have seen the sign up here before the service. The Green Earth Ministry Committee is collecting used sneakers. And these will be sent to be recycled, and there is a green collection bin in the coat room back there. On Sunday mornings, we are asking that all food be in the terrace room, great hall, dining room, and parlor, and keep food out of the library. That will be a food-free space at that time. And as you can see, the fans coming in, we have a bit of an electrical issue today. And my understanding is that the fuse box is going to need to be replaced in the basement. Is that correct? Yep. So that is coming. It's a little warm today. Sorry about that. And one last thing. Don Marks, our social justice coordinator, right here, he is planning for a social justice moment during the service once a month, and he's also looking for those interested in social justice themes and causes, especially Nourish New Jersey. So see him or Diane, raise your hands, if you're interested in getting involved in that, or for more info. And those are our announcements today. So let us join together as we light our chalice. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Please stand if you'd like.
Every Sunday, we include in our Sunday worship service a time to share and acknowledge significant life events, births, graduations, deaths, and other significant accomplishments, losses, and changes. Not all the milestones or passages we have experienced will be shared aloud this morning, but we remember in this moment that we need not be alone. It is possible, even essential, that we share our lives with others. It is in our deepest sharing that we will also find our greatest strengths. And we read from the gratitude card submitted too, because when we feel despair or greed, denial or anger, or even numbness or disdain, these feelings can disconnect us from ourselves and each other. Gratitude frees us to celebrate what is good and look for the good and possible in our lives. We shared.
How do we dig out? How do we rise up? What healing touch do we long for? What balm might we take and share? Come what may, O Spirit of life, come what may we keep a ray of light for our inward path, a living water in the depths of us, a cleansing breath at our core. May we keep them for ourselves and to share. May we call forth from each other vitality and tenacity. May love rest in us. May justice live through us. May we have the touch to call others back to life and love, to justice and peace. May we sing back their songs and add the alleluias. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit-giving power. So may it be. Let us hold this silence together. Blessed be. I invite you to rise as you are able in body and spirit. We're going to sing number 157, Step by Step. Hopefully it'll be up here on the screen. So the reading I've chosen today comes from Harry Emerson Fosdick. He was one of the most prominent liberal ministers of the early 20th century. Fosdick served at the First Presbyterian Church in Manhattan's West Village and also in the historic denominational Riverside Church in Morningside Heights in Manhattan. This short reading is an excerpt from his The Three Meanings, which is itself a compilation of three of his seminal works: The Meaning of Prayer, The Meaning of Faith, and The Meaning of Service. This particular reading comes from The Meaning of Service. The Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea are made of the same water. It flows down clean and cool from the heights of Hermon and the roots of the cedars of Lebanon. And the Sea of Galilee makes beauty of it. The Sea of Galilee has an outlet. It gets to give. It gathers in its riches that it may then pour them out again to fertilize the Jordan plain. But the Dead Sea, with the same water, makes horror. For the Dead Sea has no outlet. It only gets to keep.
Our offertory this morning, it's time for that now, and it's going to be split 50-50, as is our tradition, with NORWESCAP, strengthening communities by creating opportunities that improve the lives of low-income individuals and families, and to help build a community that transforms poverty into opportunity. You can donate any number of ways, including the old-fashioned way, putting money in the basket. You can also do it online via the website or the Rome app, or via text.
Thank you, Michael. That was lovely. The aptly named June into July. Well, my friends, it is a great pleasure for me to be able to be back at the Morristown Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I am the Reverend Charles Loflin, and as Steve mentioned earlier, I did have the privilege of serving as your intern minister from 2019 to 2021 through all that COVID stuff. Yeah. I'm excited for this opportunity to be here during July. In addition to leading services this month, my responsibilities also include pastoral care coverage. So if you find yourself in need, please don't hesitate to reach out. I've also been asked to meet with a couple of committees over the summer so that you can continue some of the work that you've been doing. More to come on those things. You can think of this as a transitional time. Essentially, I am the minister bridging the gap between Reverend Joel and Reverend Sasha. So you know that something wonderful is on its way. You just got to hold out a little bit longer. This is an interesting time for the fellowship because you're preparing for the next chapter of your story, the ongoing story of this place. I look forward to our time together and being a small part of that story this summer. So here we are, July. Can you believe it? We made it. We got here. We didn't give up. We didn't quit. We didn't throw in the towel. But oh my goodness, what a time. You know, I want to invite us all right now in this moment to really be present, to be present in this here and in this now, because we're all carrying stuff, a lot of stuff. There is turmoil in our world, there is turmoil in our lives, there is uncertainty, and we're all carrying it all the time. So right now, let's connect with each other by connecting with our breaths. I invite you just to close your eyes, make yourself comfortable, and together, let's take in a deep breath together. Together, and then let it go. Oh my God, do you feel your muscles just relaxing even a little bit? Let's do that again. One more big breath together. In, and let it out. Let go. Let go of all that tension, all the things you carry. I promise those problems are still going to be there when we're done this morning. You can take them out of here with you. But for now, let them go. One last time. Giant breath in and out. Here, now. This moment. This community of faith. You know, I don't know about you, but oh my goodness, I feel like I am carrying so much. The last month especially has been something of a personal roller coaster in my world. Some amazing things happened. My youngest child celebrated their 18th birthday and graduated from high school. And of course, there were all the prerequisite rites of passage. There was senior prom and the actual ceremony and grandma coming in for a visit. And I barely got through that. My youngest, how did that happen? And suddenly we're pivoting hard. Pivoting hard because college is now right around the corner. Final preparations, all the things that have to be done, that have to be made. And I'm sitting here going, it's happening so fast. I've barely caught my breath. Big transitions, big feelings. I work as the executive director for UU Faith Action New Jersey. We are the social justice arm of Unitarian Universalists in the state. I serve as the executive director. My job primarily is to advocate with our legislature to try to keep justice moving in this state. And oh my gosh, have we been through the ringer. Because For us, June is budget season because our legislature is required by law to pass a balanced budget every year by the end of June. And it is a tumultuous process in New Jersey. And like other years, this was a tumultuous one. And it was one far less transparent than one would hope. But there were some hard-fought wins, things that we managed to scrape out. For the first time ever in the state of New Jersey, there is dedicated funding for New Jersey Transit. That's going to make a big difference. But there were also some major setbacks. Our legislature passed into law and the governor signed a bill that weakens New Jersey's Open Public Records Act. It's going to make it easier for those in power to hide what they're doing and harder for ordinary citizens to get the information from their own government. But now, having passed the budget, the legislature is taking its customary 2-month recess. They're gone. They're done. And because it's an election year, chances are really great that they're going to extend that 2-month recess all the way to November, because why do anything before an election? Big transitions and big feelings. Oh my God, did I say election? I did. Want to talk about some big feelings and some big transitions? A little scary, isn't it? I mean, here we are. July has just begun, and I am done. I am over it. I just want to stick my head in a hole and wake up when it's all settled. Big transitions, big feelings. And of course, every June as a UU minister means one thing in particular. That's our General Assembly. That's the time when all the Unitarian Universalists from across North America get together to work on some things that are important to us. Now, this year's General Assembly was virtual. Boy, that wasn't very much fun, was it? But it has to be done. We are recognizing that we have to adjust to the times. And this was an important General Assembly. I hope that you are fully aware of what we did this year. This year, at the General Assembly, we overwhelmingly adopted revisions to our bylaws. And those revisions declare unequivocally that for Unitarian Universalism, love is the theological center of our faith. That is a powerful, powerful theological position, and we have adopted it, and I am proud of our Unitarian Universalism for doing that. But this GA is also going to be remembered for a very charged discussion of a proposed business resolution. That business resolution said that embracing transgender, non-binary, intersex, and gender-diverse people is a fundamental expression of UU religious values. The good news is that resolution overwhelmingly passed. But the awful news is during the debate, there were some terrible, hurtful things said. If you haven't seen on the internet the response of Reverend Jakaran Olea, who emphatically reached out in the debate to support and affirm emphatically our transgender, non-binary, and gender-diverse people, I urge you, take a look at what she said online. It is moving. It is something we should be doing more of. Big transitions. Big feelings. I'm just going to posit the probability that there are some big transitions happening specifically in Morristown Unitarian Universalist Fellowship right now. I look out there and I see this building that just keeps sprouting. I mean, you get to see it every week. I've not been here since April, so I come back and I'm like, oh, wow, there's a building. It's happening. That's a pretty big transition. Think of all the years that have gone into that as you inch closer and closer to the finish line. But that's not the only transition you're going through. You've just completed the process, a 2+ year process, to call a new minister. You are transitioning from interim ministry to a whole new settled ministry. That's a lot of change, a lot of transition, a lot of big feelings. I mean, how do you describe everything that's going on? And it's everything. It's our personal lives that are in turmoil. It's our political national lives that are in turmoil. It's our whole world as we look at a warming planet and we wonder, what are we going to do? Our faith is in transition, sometimes hopeful, but sometimes still doing harm. It's so much to deal with. Do you feel it? Do you experience it? What does it feel like? What are the things you're feeling? Tell me, what are you feeling? Suffocation? Anxiety? Sorry? Depression. Confusion. Anticipation. Despair. Maybe hope, right? Motivation. It's all those things and so much more. Now, I'm not suggesting that we're not always in change as human beings. We are. We are always in change. Things are always in flux. Things do not stay the same. If you don't like something, wait a little while. It's going to change. But it is also true that there are moments in our lives when the change is momentous and where the stakes are higher. It often feels like that, but it is only after the fact that we know whether or not that's true. But I posit, friends, that we are facing watershed moments in our lives. That what will be happening to us here and in our larger worlds is going to change things in a way that nothing will ever be the same again. You feel it, don't you? And it's exhausting. It's so exhausting that sometimes we can't find the hope, we can't find the courage, we can't find the gumption to get up and keep going. We just want to go to sleep. We just want to disengage. We just want it to be done. Have you ever heard the term compassion fatigue? That pretty much describes where we are. Compassion fatigue is sometimes defined as the cost of caring for others, or specifically for their emotional pain. It results from the desire to help relieve the suffering of others. It first was termed in the medical industry, for those who are caregivers, the act of giving care over and over and over again leads to fatigue. It leads to a kind of compassion fatigue. It's also sometimes referred to as vicarious or secondary trauma, where we experience the trauma of others because we are in a helping situation. The phrase was coined by a registered nurse way back in 1992. She described it as a unique form of burnout where caregivers experience, quote, a loss of the ability to nurture. Doesn't that sound familiar? So many of us in this room, myself included, are feeling the compassion fatigue and sometimes the loss of the ability to continue to nurture. Now, that term has expanded in usage. It now has a secondary definition that refers to the experience of any empathetic individual who is acutely conscious of societal needs but feels helpless to solve them. Anyone match that description? People who actively engage in charity, in volunteer work, in religious community, they are finding this is a difficult time. They feel they cannot commit any more energy, any more time, any more money to the plight of others because they just feel so overwhelmed and paralyzed, and their pleas of support seem to be falling on deaf ears. In her book, In It for the Long Haul, Overcoming Burnout and Passion Fatigue as Social Justice Change Agents, Dr. Kathy Aubert shares some revealing thoughts on the subject. This is what one of her clients said. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. And I am scared to death that I'm just going to burn out and drop out altogether. Who would I be if I'm not an activist, a change agent? What would my friends think of me? Would they still be a part of my community? How could I even look myself in the mirror if I slow down and do less social justice change work? But if I don't do something different and soon, I just don't know what's going to happen. That's compassion fatigue. And it sounds familiar for many of us. And our congregations, our faith communities are subject to this just like anyone else. The challenges we face are manifold. There is intergenerational turnover in leadership. Those who have been leaders for so long, who have carried the torch, so to speak, for so long, need a well-deserved break. And the fact is, in our organizations, there aren't enough people raising their hands to step into those vacated leadership roles. Now, it's easy to get all sanctimonious about this process and say, what's wrong with them? Why can't they step up? But folks, what were we just talking about? Compassion fatigue is everywhere. My God, the world we've lived through since 2016, and not that the world was all that great before that, but going back to 2016 and what has happened since then, it is overwhelming. We can't get out of this mess waiting for those hands to get raised, because it isn't going to happen. There is generational change happening. The new leaders who are there are fewer of them, and they don't do things the same way we did it before. And folks, we got to be okay with that. We cannot insist that others do it the way we did it, because it's a different world, a different time, a different place. The needs are the same, but the tools that are necessary to make it happen are different. If we don't embrace it, we will die. We will become irrelevant. Dr. Aubert says, we still believe everyone deserves equity and justice, good housing and health care. We believe they deserve liberation from oppression and access and opportunity to lead fulfilling, meaningful lives. But some days, we just can't imagine that it's even remotely possible. We lose our hope. We lose our passion. We lose our direction, and we lose ourselves in the process. And again, it's happening across our lives. It's happening in our families. It's happening in our political world. It's happening in our communities. It's happening in our congregations. I cannot help but wonder if the greatest danger we have ever faced is in fact the temptation right now to disengage, to say, I can't do it anymore, to say, I'm done. And when we disengage, when we cut ourselves off, when there is no longer that flow that moves in us and through us and onto something else, we become like the Dead Sea in the reading that we had this morning. Sea of Galilee up north, River Jordan comes out of it, leads to the Dead Sea down south. It's only about 65 miles separating the Sea of Galilee from the Dead Sea. The Sea of Galilee is alive. It is vibrant. It is full of life. It is beautiful. The Dead Sea is dead. It has no outlet. It has no way to let go of the things it has been carrying. And so it sits there stagnant, and no life can be there. See, that's the challenge of compassion fatigue, because compassion fatigue, when it goes unchecked, robs us of those necessary outlets that keep the water flowing. It robs us of the ability to give in a way that rejuvenates and replenishes. It turns us into receptors who only take in and take in and take in, and because we have nowhere to put that energy, it eats at our very souls. But there is hope. There are practical tools we can use to address what's going on. Here are just some. And again, I'm using Aubert's suggestions. She lists these particular suggestions. They're easy to remember because they all begin with the letter R. So maybe you will walk out of here with that in your ear. She says one of the things we really need to commit to is rest. Rest. Real rest. Now here's the truth. Here's the truth. Tell me if this sounds like you. It certainly is me. I know I need to rest, but I say I can rest later. There's too much to do. There's too much at stake. If I don't do it, it ain't going to get done. I got to do it. I got to do it. And so what I do is I put it off, and I put it off, and I put it off, and then I crash. Because I didn't have the discipline along the way to take regular, short periods of rest. Folks, we're killing the people in our congregations because we're not giving them an opportunity to rest. None of us can do this work all the time at full throttle. We need real rest. We need real recovery. It needs to be intentional. It needs to be regular. It needs to be something that not only do we commit to individually, but that we commit to as a community. As a community, we need to be able to say to each other, hey, I think you need a rest right now. We can do this together, but rest is required. What else do we need? We need to refill. We need to spend some time really getting in touch with the thing that refills you. What restores your soul? Not what can you give, but what do you need? What feeds you? What makes this a place you want to come to? What engages you in the work? Is it music? Then sing. Is it dance? Then dance like nobody's watching. Is it gardening? Well, get out there and do your thing. Whatever it is, you must rest. As the expression goes, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And if as a faith community we're not simultaneously providing opportunities for people to refill as well as to give, then we are not doing our jobs. A third R word, we really need to reflect. What am I talking about here? Too often, we get caught in patterns of doing things because that's the way they've always been done. That's the way we always do them. We feel like it just has to be done. So we're like in an automated mode. We're just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. We need to build in time to stop and breathe and reflect. The world that we live in is changing so much faster than the world any of us were living in only a few years ago. And if we're going to be responsive to what's happening in the moment, we have to build in intentional opportunities to stop and reflect and ask ourselves, what is really most important to me? And is the thing that I'm doing accomplishing the goal? Because the goal is what matters, not the way we do the goal. We must be a community of faith willing to reflect and adjust to the reality that is around us. To paraphrase Lewis Carroll from Alice in Wonderland, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. Those are good R words: rest, refill, reflect. Oh, Bear has others. There's one word that isn't on her list that I want to add, though. It's an R word, too. It's relate. Rest, refill, reflect. Those are all essential things that we need to be doing. All of us need to be doing. But here's the problem with all of those strategies. They are things you can do completely by yourself. You can rest by yourself. You can refill by yourself. You can rejuvenate by yourself. But the whole purpose of us existing as a faith community is what we do together is greater than what any of us can do individually. That's my problem with the big self-help, self-care phenomenon that's happening right now. Because there's some great advice out there, but it's always focused exclusively on the individual. What am I doing for me to make things better? And too often it's disconnected from anybody else. If there is a path forward, that path will be in relationship. This is critically important. Faith communities could serve as the antidote for compassion fatigue. Right now, we're contributing to it. We're adding to the compassion fatigue of the people who come in these doors. But what if instead this were the place where you came to do those things? To rest, to refill, to reflect, and to relate. What if the answer to compassion fatigue is community and a mutual network of support and care, a network where love is at the center of everything we do? Where have I heard that before? What would it be like if we really wanted to be a community that embraced justice and interdependence and equity and transformation and pluralism and generosity, the things we just approved and said are the core elements of our faith? What if we took it seriously? What if they weren't just words, but they became a mantra for how we're going to live, how we're going to be with each other? Justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, interdependence, and all of it knit together in love. If you don't have love at the center, nothing else matters. You know, you're probably familiar with the passage from Paul's letter to Corinthians that's often read at weddings, sometimes called the love chapter. But when it was actually written, it had nothing to do with weddings. It was written to a faith community. And it's telling them how they can support one another. And for Paul, the answer is love. You remember these words? Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. And my God, do we need some truth? It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres, because love never fails. There are prophecies, they will cease. There are tongues, they will be stilled. There is knowledge, it will pass away. But now these three things remain: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. Friends, I just imagine what it would be if we really lived like that. If we really believed it. It would change our interactions. It would change how we talk to each other. It would change what we expect from one another. It would change the world. I don't think there's going to be an easy fix for our political crisis. I don't think there's going to be an easy fix for our personal disengagement. But I do believe that the purpose of a faith community is to teach us how to relate one to another. Let this not be the source of our compassion fatigue. Let this place be the antidote to it. May it indeed be so. I invite you to stand as you are willing and able and sing our closing hymn, which is number 1017, Building a New Way.
And in the spirit of the genuine concern that this room is getting more and more greenhouse by the minute, we're only going to do the first two verses.
Friends, our closing words are from the Reverend Cynthia Landry. This is be true, be well, be loving. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concerns, or our care for each other. Our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues until we are all together again, friends. Be strong, be well, be true, but most of all, be loving. Amen.
Yeah.
ball. It's up in, well, actually, she may have, I think she changed, but she wasn't, I think she's